What do you think about the immigration situation? A lot of conservatives are using that sort of the theory is that the reason it's happening is because they would be able to illegally vote
That's insane.
for Biden.
Yeah, you can't be an illegal immigrant and vote. And now in a lot of states, because of the conservatives, they've passed laws saying you have to show identification. When I voted in Texas, you had to show, state identification. They can't vote. You can't register as an illegal alien that I'm aware of to vote.
Yeah, but of course that story that really worries me enables or serves as a catalyst for questioning the legitimacy of an election.
I remember going to the debate with Trump in 2016, and he was debating Clinton. And one of the things he said was, we don't even know if this election will be legitimate if I lose. This was in 2016 before he was even elected, and that was where he was going. That's just what he does. He's never admitted a mistake. The guy's failed a zillion times. Most people say, okay, I learned from him. I read a book about Roy Cohn, and Roy Cohn was the ultimate deny, 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 and that was one of Trump's mentors. And you can see almost everything that Roy Cohn ever did in the same way that Donald Trump approaches things.
But given how drastic the immigration situation is, that story becomes more believable.
Yeah, of course it does, right? But the facts are still the facts, right? And in red states, they're going to be checking every ID. They're going to be making sure that's not the case. And you can also make the argument, well, in the blue state, it doesn't matter. In the swing states, they're still going to be checking because they know Trump is going to sue the shit out of him when he loses, And so, again, that's where, people will take those self-preservation steps to keep their job and do the right thing. There's still enough people who believe in this country and how amazing it is to do the right thing. And a lot of the premise of what some conservatives are saying and doing, the underpinning of it is that their fellow citizens will not do anything, not some things, anything that serves the best interest of this country. And to me, that's just wrong. That is just misleading and wrong.
I just worry I don't care about Trump or Biden. I care about democracy.
Mm-hmm.
I just worry. I worry about the viral nature of the idea of this illegal immigrants.
But it's very functional, right? Either they get across, there's 1,000 different ways an unlimited number of ways to enter the United States of America undetected, right? And the south border, where it's the easiest and the worst. And Biden needs to take steps to reduce that. Remember, when Biden was vice president and Obama was president, they called Obama the deporter in chief. He had no problem deporting people. And I think, if I had to guess, and this is just a guess, that when they looked at the initial statistics for immigration when Biden took over, they thought there was room for more immigrants, not because they would vote, but you can make a fiscal argument that in a world where the birth rate is flat to declining, we need immigrants, right? And immigrants typically don't have a higher crime rate or anything than, indigenous American citizens. Indigenous isn't the right word, but American citizens. And so they made a calculated mistake. They made a decision that was wrong, and now they have to fix it, or it's going to hurt them severely. But I don't buy, like what Elon's pushing, that the whole reason is they are voters and will become voters.
And we should say the obvious. You're a descendant of immigrants.
Yeah, for sure.
And the immigrants is what makes this country great in many parts, the diversity of this nation. And we should probably keep the people that are like already been in this country for a while and are killing it, like PhD students and all this. It's like
that's not what Donald Trump wants, though. He wants to ship them all out, right? There's just a whole lot of hyperbole when it comes to talking about all of these things we're talking about. When it's right versus left, my team versus your team, my tribe versus your tribe. Yeah. The only way to stand out is hyperbole. The hard part, and why I like this conversation, is how do you distinguish hyperbole versus reality? And I get where you're going, Lex, where it's like what the smallest spark sometimes can cause people to change, and then that spark becomes bigger, and then it becomes more widespread, and then all of a sudden your country has changed. It's not what you thought it was. I get that completely, right? And yes, you always have to be on top of that to make sure. But a lot of that comes from lack of leadership, right? And lack of trust, because there's nobody who's saying, all right, the Republicans, that's all hyperbole and you're wrong for that. Democrats, you fucked up on immigration, right? You fucked up in Afghanistan, right? Here's where you made these mistakes. Own it. There's nobody who says, right, we're not going to just bring in Republicans if the Republicans win. And then, and there's nobody who says, we're not going to just bring in Democrats. We're going to bring in a mix, right? We're going to try to get balance on the Supreme Court. There's no leadership that's doing that. That's the fundamental problem. It's not about the ideology of woke. It's no leadership.
Yeah, leadership. And yeah, it's whatever systems we've created. It's really frustrating that if you don't like Trump, it really is Trump derangement syndrome. Like he's definitely Hitler. And if you don't like Biden, he's senile lizard person.
Right.
That
right. Everybody gets labeled, right? And because that works on social media. Look, if Elon changed the algorithm just by taking himself out of it, seriously, I'm not saying don't post, right? Post all you want. But he, if you look at his followers, they're almost all right-leaning. If you look at the people he engages with positively, they're almost all right-leaning. And if you look at the people he engages with negatively, like me, right, I consider myself an independent, but I lean left on the DEI topic, right? Mm-hmm. That influences the algorithm. And so you see what you see because of what he says.
Yeah, well, I mean, for sure, but there could be a lot of influential people on Twitter that influence the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. I do feel it's not even about ideology where you lean. It's about like the algorithm not prioritizing drama, like the attention grabbing thing, or the lower lizard version of that, where like people just want the drama. They want to tear it out.
When I last read through all the stuff on their algorithm, right? Maybe it's changed. Whoever has the biggest account and gets engagement on that account influences what people see the most.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I don't know if that's to the degree that's true. They've
pretty sure it's still the case.
Pretty rigorous description of what's of the way the algorithm works. It's actually kind of fascinating. There's like clustering of people based on interest.
Right, but I think they call it the nearest neighbor, right, mm-hmm. approach, and I think that's what they do. And so whoever has the biggest account has the most neighbors, who in turn have their neighbors, who in turn have their neighbors, and that's how they discern what comes next.
But there's a clustering still. So like if you don't give a shit about Elon,
you're not following him. Yeah, you're not
going to have an influence. He's not going to have an influence.
When you get a break, just create a burner account on mm-hmm. Twitter and see who they recommend to you.
Elon.
And not just Elon. I mean, the people that Elon likes. And I'm saying that's not Elon saying, add this person, and suggest this person, this person, and this person. I'm saying that's what the algorithm
there should be transparency around that for sure.
There is. There is. And that's the whole point, right? He knows there's transparency and he knows the impact. That's why when I say take yourself out of the algorithm, right? Don't include his account, that changes, I think, the output of the algorithm.
Well, when he wasn't owning Twitter, he was one of the biggest accounts, if not the biggest account already.
He wasn't, but still, like even like the Kim Kardashian accounts, whatever, right? It wasn't open source to Elon's credit. It is now, so I couldn't see it to know, right? So I didn't get the sense one way or the other of one element being dominant over the other. But obviously, conservatives felt that left leaning was more dominant back then.
Yeah, I would love to see numbers on all of this.
Yeah, you'll be both.
DEI, everything like this. Sometimes anecdotal data really frustrates me. It frustrates me primarily because of how sexy it is. Like people just love.
That's a great way to describe it.
Love a story, and I'm like, God damn it! This is not science. This.
It's not even common sense.
Well, no, I think anecdotal stories often have a wisdom in them. Like
no doubt, right? Like there's something to be gained from seeing them.
There's a signal there, but like how representative is that signal of the broader thing?
There's a whole lot more noise than signal more often than not.